Hello, I'm Brad Hadank, and welcome to Sportspage. In this program, we talk with the athletes, coaches, and staff who work to make University of Central Missouri Athletics one of the premier college sports programs in the MIAA and Division II as a whole. This is Sportspage. In today's episode, we'll be joined by two UCM Track and Field student athletes. Our first guest today is Rachael Molloy. Rachael is a thrower who comes from Carrollton, Missouri. She's a three-time first-team All-American thrower, four-time MIAA Conference champion thrower, and holds the second-best throws in UCM history in both the weight throw and the hammer throw. So with that, we welcome Rachael Molloy to Sportspage. Rachael, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So you compete in the weight throw and the hammer throw. Are there any other throws or events you've competed in throughout your career, or are those your two?
I like to say I dabble in the discus. I'm not as good, but hammer and weight throw are my main two throws.
So looking at the hammer and weight throw, and you mentioned discus, what are the differences between it? Is it just a different object that you throw, or is there a different technique? How well does that work?
The hammer and the weight are pretty similar. The hammer is lighter and longer, so it goes farther, and we throw that outdoors. And then the weight is shorter and heavier, so we throw that indoors.
So looking at the track and field season, there's the indoor season that runs from December till about mid-March. Then there's the outdoor season that's about late March through May. As a thrower, is there a big difference between the indoor and outdoor season for you? Is it pretty much the same approach?
For sure. It's kind of a tough transition to make, going from the weight throw to the hammer throw. I'm still kind of stuck in that transition right now, so we're hoping that the next few weeks I can hit my stride and move forward in the outdoor season.
So looking at your career, back in the 2019-2020 season, you were redshirted and the outdoor season was canceled due to COVID-19. Looking at the redshirt part first, could you talk me through that process of being redshirted?
For sure. So I think that a redshirt excuse me, is a great opportunity for freshmen or whatever age you are, whenever you take the red shirt, to take that time to train through it and to grow as an athlete, which my red shirt ran straight into COVID, which some people could see as kind of an obstacle to overcome just because COVID, we were so removed from our teammates. But I try to view it as that opportunity to keep growing and keep improving.
And looking at that COVID-19 aspect, how did, as a team, how did everyone work through that time of uncertainty as student athletes?
I know that us throwers, we had a group chat to talk to each other and to work through it together, make sure like we held ourselves accountable. It was really just trying to find that community even though we were removed from that community.
Looking at this season for a second, over the course of the season, Jenny's Track and Field is scheduled to appear in places such as Kansas University in Lawrence, Kansas, but also Baker University, which is an NAIA. How does that work when you can compete both at a Division I school and an NAIA school as a Division II program?
For sure. I think it's important to see all landscapes of competition. Sometimes you're going to go to a D1 meet where there's D1 teams that aren't as good as you think D1 teams would be, and then you go to an NAIA meet where there's some stud athletes there. So you never know what you're going to get. It's kind of a mixed bag at those meets.
Talking about those different places, has there been a favorite place for you to compete in your career?
I've got to be biased and say that competing at Central is my favorite, just because that home field advantage is so huge.
So could you talk me through that home field advantage? The indoor season would be now the Jerry M. Hughes Athletic Center. Outdoor season would be Walton Stadium, Kennedy Field. During practice, there's other athletics that work out there as well. So how does that work out schedule-wise?
We all have to communicate and get along. Sometimes it's kind of tricky with so many athletics there, but as long as we're just mindful of each other's space, we're able to get through it.
So do you make any connections with other student athletes through that time practicing in the same
100%.
facilities?
Yeah. Regardless of how different our sports are, we're all going through the same thing as athletes. So I think it's really important to connect and make a community with other athletes.
And could you talk me through that home field advantage you're talking about? Is it the home crowd? Is it the fact you don't have to travel? What makes that such an important difference?
I think it's a combination of everything. For me, it's just the familiar environment, being able to see surroundings and be comfortable there. That's so huge for me.
Looking at the UCM Track and Field program as a whole thus far this season, how do you gauge the team so far? How has the performance been?
This year's been a transition year with our new head coach. I think that Coach P is doing a great job getting us on the right track to be successful. This year's kind of I don't want to say a transition year, I hate that term, but we're all just kind of getting our footing under the new head coach, and hopefully in the next few years we see some big steps for the team.
Looking at yourself, what are some takeaways for your performance thus far this season?
I really have to learn to trust the process. Like I said, right now I'm still kind of stuck in that transition between indoor and outdoor. It's so important as a track athlete to peak at the right time, which I want to see far throws right now, but it's going to be so much more rewarding to see far throws in May rather than right now.
And you've talked about how you're stuck in a transition period more so, but you're still a 3-time first-team All-American thrower. How have you found so much success during your time here at Central Missouri?
It definitely took me a few goes at nationals to learn how to compete there. It definitely takes a little bit of luck on your side to do well at nationals, but really I think it's just being confident. If you walk in there being the most confident athlete, you're going to do well and you're going to podium.
To earn that third All-American honor, you threw a personal best weight throw of 19.65 meters. Sorry, that's 64 feet and 5 3/4 inches. Could you take me through that throw, your feelings, how that one went? Do you remember it? Was it just a body takeover moment? How did that work?
So I knew that I was going to throw far that day, just because my practice was so well a few days out, and like I said, I just walked in the ring with that confidence, and I knew that it was going to go far. The best feeling was hearing my two coaches cheer loud for me. As soon as I heard them yell, I knew that it was a good throw.
And I've talked about the All-American honors, and that happens at the NCAA Track and Field Championships. Could you talk me through, there's an indoor championship and an outdoor championship. Could you talk me through how those work as events?
For sure. So this year they made a new rule. In the past it was like you didn't know how many were going to make it. In indoor it was typically 18 to 20, and then outdoor was like 22 to 24. This year they set a firm 18 for indoor, and I think the outdoor is a firm 22. So in the past there was a lot of anxiety if you were on the bubble because you didn't know how many they were going to take, but I like the new rule just because you know if you're in or you're out.
Looking at your individual successes again, a 4-time MIAA conference champion thrower, how much work has it taken to get to that point?
So much, but I think it's 100% worth it. The hard work is what makes it fun whenever things do work out. It makes it just 100% worth it whenever you see yourself succeed.
Could you talk me through what that work looks like? Could you take me through maybe a normal practice for yourself?
For sure. So throwers, we lift weights quite a bit. We have a 3 to 4 day a week lift. We practice for 2 to 3 hours every day, so we're out there quite a bit.
And then looking at personal work, is there anything different you do if you just go practice by yourself?
Not necessarily that. I am big on trying to recover as best as I can, so I take what I eat pretty seriously. I try to sleep as much as I can and just do the small things that add up.
So you hold the second best throws in UCM history in both the weight throw and the hammer throw. How does it feel to be right there at the top? Even when you've said you're in kind of a transition stage right now, you're still one of the best. How does that feel?
It's a great feeling. I think that everyone that would be at the number 2 spot wants to be number 1. However, I have a lot of respect for Heaven Warner, the number 1 placeholder. I'm pretty sure she got 4th at the Olympic trials, so she was just a phenomenal athlete. And if it's being second to her, I'm okay with that.
Do you have your eyes set on number 1? Is that a goal for yourself this season?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you talk me through your routine, a competition day, different tournaments? What does that look like for you on game day or competition day, however you say it?
I'm so big into routine. I try to do things as similar as possible every meet. I'm big on visualization, deep breathing. I'll do my warm-up the same every time. And then going into the ring, I try to keep my warm-up throws the same as well.
And you're originally from Carrollton, Missouri. What made you end up deciding to come to Central Missouri?
So I kind of stumbled upon the track team here. I knew I wanted to go to UCM because they have a phenomenal education program, and I wasn't very good in high school. And my high school track coach ended up just emailing our previous head coach, Kip Janbrin, and saying like, hey, I have this girl, can she walk onto the team? And Kip was like, sure, we'll take her. So I kind of just stumbled upon this place.
And at Carrollton, your other athletics alongside track were softball and basketball, and it's noted that you lettered in all of those all 4 years. Was softball or basketball ever a thought for you collegiately, or was it always track? I know you just said you walked on. Was it track that was the main thing for you, or were those others up there?
I think if I was to do another sport collegiately, it would be basketball. That's probably the sport I miss the most. However, like I said, I was always decent in high school, but I was never the most athletic kid.
And you've talked about the education program. You're majoring in physical education. What made you decide that one?
So I I chose PE because I thought I wanted to coach. However, I just took a job as a special educator. I got the opportunity to teach adaptive PE with the Thrive program here at UCM, and I found that I have a love for working with students with disabilities. So that's what made me pursue the special education route.
And you are currently a graduate student in year number 6. Could you talk me through that process now being in grad school, but also being an athlete here at UCM?
For sure. I've found that grad school has been easier than my undergrad, honestly. I think it's because all of my courses are online, which makes my workload a lot more manageable. I can work from home rather than having to go to class. So, like I said, I'm really big on sleeping as much as I can to recover, so grad school's helped out with that.
And then during your time here at Central Missouri, you've been recognized as an MIAA Academic Scholar Athlete and as part of the MIAA Academic Honor Roll. Talking about that undergrad, you said was maybe a little more difficult for you than grad school even is. How did you manage both academics and athletics at that time as well?
So the track team's always done a great job of prioritizing being a student before we're athletes. So our coaches made sure we were on top of all of our studies. For me, the hardest part of undergrad was student teaching. That was the hardest semester to manage just because like my day-to-day was wake up at 5 a.m. I lifted in the high school weight room. I went to school all day. I went to practice. I went to bed. So that was the hardest semester for me to manage my time.
Looking at track and fields as a whole again, is there a common misconception that you see about track and field, especially the throwing side of things?
I think that a lot of people have the opinion that track and field is an individual sport, which really there's a lot of teamwork that goes into it, scoring points at conference or at nationals to gain national titles or conference titles.
And then you talked about how you walked on here at Central Missouri, so that means you must really enjoy the sport at least to be a walk-on.
Yeah.
What do you really enjoy about track and field?
I love how much my success depends on me. It's at the end of the day, it's 100% down to my choices and my actions if I want to be successful.
And then during different competitions, you have different throwers that you probably see often, especially in the MIAA conference. Do you ever get to know those throwers at all?
Oh yeah, I'm friends with so many of them. And that's another thing about track and field is it's never me against anybody else from other schools. It's me against me. So I want to see them do well just because if they throw far, that typically means I want to throw farther.
And then when everyone else is throwing, how does that work? I know you could probably just leave if you wanted to, turn your back, or you could watch them. What is your take on that?
I always try, like, I'll cheer for them because they cheer for me as well, but I try to close my eyes and honestly not watch them just because I think that makes me more nervous whenever I watch them.
And it takes a lot to be a student athlete, especially at the Division II level. Who have been some of those biggest supporters in your career to get you to this point?
My 2 coaches, Tucker and Brent. My dad has had my back the whole time, and my teammates.
So looking at the track and field program again as a whole here at Central Missouri, if you could describe it to someone who doesn't really know what it's about in just a few sentences, what would you tell them?
Culture and family. We have such a strong culture of track and field here at UCM. And if you look at our history, it's such a colorful and successful history. I think it's so special to be a part of that.
And then day in, day out, you have to have many motivators to just keep going. You're in your 6th year. What is that motivation for you?
Just beating myself and becoming better than I was yesterday.
All right, well, Rachel, thank you for joining us today, and best of luck in your future. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be another Central Missouri track and field student athlete. Rawley Chard is on right after this. Welcome back to Sportspage. In this next segment, we'll be joined by another Central Missouri track and field student athlete, Rawley Chard. Rawley has had much success already at Central Missouri. Rawley is a 2-time All-American who holds a school record. Rawley claimed the school record in the men's 400-meter dash at the NCAA Division II Indoor Championships with an indoor personal best and school record time of 46.64 seconds. With this, Rawley has also competed in the 60-meter dash for the indoor season, the 200-meter dash in both the indoor and outdoor seasons, the 4x100-meter relay in the outdoor season, which finished as the national runner-up at the 2024 NCAA Division II Outdoor Championships, and the 4x400-meter relay in the indoor season that placed runner-up at the MIAA Indoor Championships. Now we welcome Rawley Chard to Sportspage. Rawley, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
So looking at your events, you participate in many. What is it about yourself that has allowed you to participate in so many different events?
I think it's what I did in high school, so I'm just kind of used to it, and I enjoy having a broad spectrum of things to do. Kind of keeps you on your toes, keeps you like not so much worried about what you're going to be doing the next week, but just worrying about yourself on how you can be better for really anything that you're going to be put into.
Looking at those different events, is there enough differences between them where you have to have different approaches for each event, or are they pretty similar, even though a little bit different, obviously?
I think like the 60 and the 100 are probably about the only thing that would be different, just because you really have to work on your block starts, and like I feel like for the 200 and 400, like they are important, but they're not as important because you have a lot more ground to be able to make up.
You've talked about those block starts just now. How do you work on those? Is it just practice after practice? Is there a certain technique that you try to use? How do those work out for you?
I feel like just, repetition. Obviously, like you want a coach with you to like point out things that like little tweaks that you want to improve, or like honestly, like just watching good block starters do their blocks is a lot of help as well.
You participate in some individual events, but also some more team events like the 4x100, the 4x400. Mm-hmm. Could you talk me through how much of a difference those are, individual versus those more team events?
So I feel like individual, you really don't have to worry too much about like how the whole thing is going to go, because you're really just focused on yourself. But when you're in the team event, you really you don't want to let down your teammates. So I feel like people worry about that a lot when you shouldn't, just because like you want to be the best for them.
Personally, between the individual and team events, is there one you prefer more, or are they just two very different things?
I don't feel like I prefer one over the other. I enjoy both a lot. Maybe not the 4x4 like as much as I prefer the 4x1, just because I feel like it's a fun event and it's always fun to compete in. But besides that, I think like the 200 is also one I really enjoy as well.
In our first segment, I asked Rachael about this from the perspective of a thrower, but as a runner or a sprinter, the indoor season versus the outdoor season, do you see a big difference between those two?
I feel like there is a big difference, just because indoor, as a runner, you kind of feel slower just because the curves are a lot tighter, so like your times aren't going to be as fast as you would like. I think just transitioning to outdoor, it truly lets you feel like who you think you should be, because your times, they usually drop drastically.
You're in year number 2 now, but back in your first year, you played a key role in the Central Missouri Track and Field team. How were you able to make an impact so quickly in your collegiate career?
I think just great coaches and great teammates pushing you along to be the best person that you can be. It's always great to be able to train with someone like people who are top in the nation, so I think that helps a lot.
Looking at the track and field program this season as a whole from your perspective, how do you gauge the performance of the program?
I think it's going great right now. Like with the new head coach in, pretty much everybody saw PRs, and I think this outdoor season is going to be even better.
Looking at yourself, what are some of your takeaways for your performances thus far? What's there to maybe build on? What are you pleased about? Could you talk me through that?
I'm very pleased that I placed 3rd at indoor nationals, because I went in ranked 15th or something. But I think there's a lot to build on. I go into this outdoor season. There's always more work to put in, and then you just got to focus on the next thing.
You talked about that ranking. Is that a key motivator for you sometimes, those rankings, maybe trying to prove others wrong? Do you ever read into those rankings at all, or are they just kind of what they are?
You look at it a little bit just to see how people are running, but those are just times they've hit once that year, so it's you can't be too worried about that, just because they're that fast, but you don't know how everybody is going to actually perform that day.
You are already listed as a 2-time All-American. How have you found that much success already this early? I know I asked you about your freshman season, but overall, how much work goes into that success?
You got to put in the effort every single day. Whether you're training or you're not, you got to be able to got to take care of your body. You got to stretch on the weekends, eat well, sleep well, rest well. I feel like also team success is gonna drag you along with that. It's just gonna make you want to do the little things better.
As a sprinter, could you talk me through what the preparation is like to prepare for these events?
I just try and relax, because I always feel when you're more relaxed, everything's just gonna be better. I try not to think about it too much. I know what I can do, and so I just go out there and do my best.
Looking at practices, what does a practice look like for you as a runner, a sprinter?
It usually depends on the day. So like Mondays will be like a lot of speed work. Then like Tuesdays will be more like speed endurance. So like it's like 200s or something like that. I mean, it's pretty much like Wednesdays recovery days and Thursdays kind of just whatever a coach is feeling like that week.
So track and field as a whole, those field events you don't necessarily participate in.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a lot of interaction with those who do on the team, or do you kind of split in practices? How does that work out?
Yeah, so we do split in practices, but we still see them quite often. I feel like we all still have a good relationship with each other. Like we always talk when we see each other. It's just a very great team vibe.
Looking at those NCAA championships, both indoor and outdoor, as a runner, how are those structured? Like how many times would you run, say, in a day?
They just changed it for this indoor season. I think last year was only 2 days, but this year it was 3 days, which is nice. So like if you qualified multiple events, maybe your prelims wouldn't both be on the same day, so you get a little rest in between. But the finals day is usually pretty hard for anybody just because you have to run all the events you made in that one day. So it's kind of, you just got to push through it.
You hold the school record in the men's 400-meter dash. Could you take me through that specific race, if you remember it, that gave you that record?
Yeah, so I would like to say like a lot of my success from that race was just because I had great people to push me. I mean, two very fast guys, the two guys that beat me got first and second, so I feel like that was probably part of the biggest reason. And I also think my coach, like he really talked me like into it and like made me feel like that, like I'm there for a reason and I just need to go out and run how I know I should.
That record-breaking time was 46.64 seconds, an indoor personal best and school record. Looking at that personal best side of things, how does it feel when you beat a personal best and you have a new one? Is that a great feeling to maybe beat your prior self?
Yeah, I think it's always a good feeling just because like it's always a goal you want to do, but there's always, I feel like for me, there's always a higher goal that you want to achieve. So like it's definitely a good feeling, but you just got to work on the next thing.
And then looking at the school record side of things, how does it feel to be at the top?
I think it's nice. I don't feel like I've really thought about it as much as I should have just because I've been so focused on outdoor. I feel like once everything calms down, I will like definitely think about it a lot and realize like what's actually happened.
So looking back when you were a senior in high school, thinking about different colleges, you chose UCM. Yep. What made you decide to come to Central Missouri?
So like I visited a few other colleges, and I feel like when I came here, it really felt like home. Like just with talking to the coaches and the athletes, it felt like I was really going to enjoy it being here, and I wouldn't like feel out of place.
Yeah, and looking at your major now here at Central Missouri, majoring in business management, what made you decide to get into that field?
So I was a physical education when I first came here, and then I just did some talking with Coach KP. He's a business major, and it just made me realize that you can really do whatever you want. Because I want to be a coach, I feel like a business major and getting your master's in it is a good option for that, because it helps you like with anything like athletic wise for like managing a team.
And then here on the track and field team at Central Missouri, you're listed as a sprinter. Could you take me through some of those differences between even the runners, between being a sprinter and a distance runner?
So for sprinters, we probably do like 1 or 2 miles a week maximum, just because everything is so fast. But like our distance guys probably clock in, I'm not like 100% sure, but I mean 20 to 30 miles a week. Like they do a lot more slow pace running. Besides, for us, we do very fast pace with like little rest in between sets.
I know you are not a distance runner, but what's the longest distance you have ever gone and ran?
I think like I was probably around 10. I ran a turkey trot, which is a 5K. That's probably the last time I've ever done that, and maybe we'll ever do that.
And looking at what originally got you into track and field, a lot of people are like running. Who would do running for fun? What is it for you that got you into the sport?
I feel like I realized I had some potential, like just like throughout sports when I was younger. So I gave it a shot in middle school, and it worked out really well. I think a lot of people don't enjoy running because they they push themselves too hard, and they don't like they aren't grateful for anything they're able to accomplish. And I think part of that reason I enjoy it so much is because I know like what I'm capable of doing, and like that I want to get better for myself every day.
To get to this point in your career, you must have had many supporters. Could you take me through some of those people in your life?
I mean, my whole family, and we talk about it all the time. They are very grateful for where I am, and also along with that, like, coaches and all the athletes are like teammates, which most of them are friends at this point. They just keep you motivated to like do everything.
And while we just have a couple more moments here just to end it off, what are some of your maybe goals as you end this season? What are you looking forward to?
I'm hoping to make nationals this year in both relays, so the 4x1, 4x4, and the 400 as well. Because I haven't competed outdoor for an individual event at nationals yet, so I'm really looking forward to that in either the 200 or the 400.
Well, Rawley, thank you for joining us today, and best of luck in your future. That's all of the time we have in this episode. I'd like to thank our guests, Rachael Molloy and Rawley Chard, for joining me, and hope you'll tune in next time for Sports Page.